step away, so won't be here for this meeting. And see if Mr. Pownell's come in since our last meeting and what we're first order of business is approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes, the May 20th regular meeting and the call meeting on June 30th. The minutes went out by email. Guess we've all had time to look over these.
Make a motion, we approve.
Motion to approve from Mr.
Can I do both of those same time, Counselor, or just one?
Let's do them separate since I wasn't on one.
Okay.
Motion to approve on the May 20th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on those? If not, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion for the June 30th call meeting.
Make a motion to approve the June 30th call meeting minutes.
Second?
Second.
Second by Chairman Austin. Any discussion on those? If not, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I will abstain. I was not at that meeting. Okay, the reports and updates. We have several here. The first is from me for the West Georgia Joint Development Authority. And I have nothing to report other than the next meeting last week of August. So, Carolyn, anything from the chamber?
We are working hard on our Prime of Life Expo that's going to be held October the 10th. This is geared toward active adults 55 and older. We're excited to host this at Wellstar Hospital that Saturday. Our State of the County address will be held August the 6th at the Community Center. The Vice President and CEO of Phoenix Air, Dent Thompson, will be our speaker at the Cobb EMC breakfast. Many of you know that the Phoenix Air was the one that helped with the transportation of the Ebola patients back to the States. And our Healthcare Alliance is doing well. We had our first meeting with that this past month in regards to pulling all of the healthcare office managers of all the different doctors' offices and related healthcare companies together for a luncheon. So that's going well.
Thanks, Carolyn. Any questions for Carolyn?
I would like to add one thing to that. Also, we have a group that used to be called Executive Women. It's now called Empowering Women. And on August the 18th at the Dallas Civic Center, we are having Dr. Rubik from Wellstar, and it's for women, and it's called Hotter Than Asphalt. And it has to do with medical things for women. So it's open to the female portion of the public. And you could call the chamber to get information on it if you need to. Thank you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next item of business reports and updates. We've got 6 of these. I guess they all involved Mr. Blake.
All right, we'll start with the Atlanta Film Studio. Excuse me. We do have some activity at the Atlanta Film Studio today. Rooms to Go is actually shooting a commercial at the studio today. They came in on Monday and started setting up. They were building sets yesterday and putting together furniture. I was a little bit surprised to see that they have to put together their own furniture just like everybody else when you buy furniture. So they had about a dozen guys out there yesterday putting together furniture. So they will be shooting that commercial all day today. It looks like we'll have another commercial coming in either this weekend or the first of next week, which I believe will be a very, very popular pizza company that I can't say the name of. I'll be shooting a commercial there. We do have another movie that we have signed. They actually only need the studio for a few days. They're not doing a lot of shooting in studio. But the thing that's impressive about this show is they're doing a lot of location shots all over the county. So they will be utilizing the Dallas Theater. They will be utilizing Hiram High School. They will be utilizing one of our parks. They'll be utilizing a local business. So they have about a half dozen different locations in the county where they're going to be shooting for this movie. And then, of course, they'll be shooting some at the studio. And they'll be using the studio as their base camp. So they're going to rent out a number of offices, a number of suites, and do all of their storage. And that'll be their home base as they go out and shoot all throughout the community for this movie. So I think it's a neat opportunity. We've had movies in the past who have came and shot scenes in the county. City of Hiram has had quite a number of them. But I don't think we've ever had a movie come in and set up base here and just go out to multiple different locations in the county to shoot like this. So this is something that's new, it's exciting. They are talking to the high school about using high school students, the drama team, high school students as extras in the movie. So that is just a really neat opportunity for them. And we're actually meeting with the studio and Cliff Cole tomorrow afternoon to discuss a training program that this group is interested in doing for the students in the high schools. So what they want to do is come in and offer an opportunity for these kids to do a 2-day training course on basically how to be an extra, how to work around a movie studio, and things like that. So it's a phenomenal opportunity for the kids in Paulding to get an introduction to the industry. Even though we've got the film studio over there, right now there's not really a way for that to happen for the kids in the school system to get any exposure to it, because you can't really bring 500 kids out while they're shooting movies. So that doesn't work. So this is another way to do that, which I think is a really neat idea, a really innovative idea. The school system's very excited about it, and the production company is as well, because it provides what they need, especially for this movie, and they need a bunch of kids, because it's a movie that's based on the story of a high school kid who struggles with some things. So really neat opportunity, and a good way to grow the industry in Paulding County.
Well, the movie, Vacation,
It's comes out.
I don't know, is it come out yet?
July
Yeah.
29th.
Just the ads I saw for it, it looks hilarious. I think Chevy Chase only has a cameo part in this, but a good portion of that movie was filmed in our studio.
Yeah, most of the movie was filmed in our studio. They did some location shots that were not obviously in the studio, but the vast majority of it was. We're not allowed to share photos until after the movie has come out, but after the movie's come out, I'd love to share some photos with you of where they came into the studio and brought, I don't know how many truckloads of sand, but dozens of truckloads of sand in the studio. They had about 1.5 feet of sand inside the studio, because the scene was a desert scene where they had an Indian teepee set up, and they literally had the entire 20,000 square foot floor covered in sand. So the stuff that they do is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And that movie does look like it's going to be really entertaining. So, we've had a string of really good shows with 42, with National Lampoon. Fake Off is doing extremely well. They're already talking to us about coming back for season 3 and starting to shoot season 3 this fall, because that show is doing so well. So we've had some really good shows in, and everyone who has come to the studio, of course, wants to come back, because it is a very good, high quality studio, and they enjoy shooting there. So, any other questions on?
I think one of the main things they want to come back for is they go, where's all the security?
Yeah.
And they're used to tons and tons of security, and lock down all their stuff, and they don't have to worry about it either. So that's been a big plus.
Well, I'm not aware of any security issues that we've had at all in any of the shoots that have ever taken place at the studio. I'm aware of lots and lots of security issues they've had in filming with warehouses and other locations downtown. So we were at one point in time having some difficulties competing against the warehouses, but the PR the negative PR the warehouses have gotten, and the positive experiences that folks have had shooting out here has really overcome that. We're really not having that issue very much at this point in time, which is good. So, any other questions on Film Studio?
Good job.
Dallas Industrial Park.
Dallas Industrial Park, a couple things I wanted to mention there. One is we have engaged a contractor to do the right-of-way mowing inside the industrial park. You know, those streets have never been formally dedicated to the city, and even if they had been, I don't know that the city has the capability to do that type of cutting on the right-of-way. So we have engaged the firm that is doing the right-of-way cutting for the county. They gave us a very good price. We did get multiple quotes on it. We got quotes from local contractors. This group is they're out of Carroll County. They're out of Billerica. They gave us a very, very good price, and they have started cutting in there, and they've done a great job, and it looks 100 times better having that right-of-way cut back. So we do have a prospect, a new prospect for the park. We have put together a proposal, and they're going to be coming out sometime in the next couple of weeks to take a look at the site. So the timing was good to get all of that cut before we had a new prospect coming out to take a look at it. But it's good to see some activity starting out there, because we've not had any activity in that park in a while. Also, I don't know if you've been through the park lately, but I did want to mention that the Paulding Sheriff's Department has started construction on their permanent facility out there, the building that they're building. So a couple of weeks ago I was out, and they were erecting steel out there, so that's coming along well. That's going to be a boost to the park just to have that permanent facility built in there. I think it's going to look very nice. I haven't seen the last version of the architectural rendering, but I think it's going to look very nice. So that's yeah, exactly. Industrial parks, with all industrial parks, that can be a concern. So having that facility in there is going to help a whole lot. Should alleviate anybody's concerns about security. So. The corporate hangar is, at this point, I would say 99% complete. We have finished finally with the fire suppression system, which was something that had delayed us about 3 months. We had a really hard time getting the backup generator in. Backup generators, for whatever reason, are on a massive backorder, so it took about 3 months longer than it should have to get the backup generator. Once the backup generator was installed, they were able to go ahead and wire in the rest of the alarm system and the rest of the electronics for the backup power. So all of that is taken care of. So we're in a position now where we can go ahead and get the CO of the building. Prime did have a contractor start this week on the floors, and that is pretty much the last thing that has to be done in the building, is to get those floors straightened out. They were out there Tuesday, yesterday, and today. They're doing laser shots on the floor, doing laser leveling, so they're getting very accurate measurements on the floor, which will help out with making sure that we get that floor within the grade tolerances that were needed. So once they finish with all the laser leveling, they'll come in and knock down those high points and put some material in to build up the low points. And we'll be ready to go with that hangar. It's been a very long and arduous process, so I'm glad to finally see the light at the end. If there's any questions on that, I'd be glad to address them.
No questions? Only available space and ordinance.
I just wanted to really quickly mention to you that Wade Terrell with West 5 Engineering had gone to a conference over in Alabama that was hosted by NASA that had to do with small suppliers, vendors for aerospace projects that NASA is doing. And Wade gave his presentation to them, and he included as part of his presentation the Paulding Aerospace Alliance. And what we're doing as far as the Paulding Aerospace Alliance, partnering with the educational institutions, the companies partnering together. And the folks at NASA were so impressed by the presentation on the Aerospace Alliance that they've actually called and asked whether or not they can come visit with us and bring a group of their folks from procurement over here and visit with the Paulding Aerospace Alliance and see what we're doing with that. So we're in the process of trying to schedule that. We've also engaged the state, Georgia Department of Economic Development's Aerospace Institute, Anytime you got somebody like NASA involved, you want to make sure that you invite the state to the table, so we won't leave them out. So that is a really, really, I think, neat thing, and it certainly says a lot about the Paulding Aerospace Alliance that it would be interesting enough to NASA that they want to bring a group from Alabama over here to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. So hope to have that set up sometime in the next couple of months. I'll report back to you on that whenever we have some more information.
That's exciting.
Any questions on the Paulding Space Alliance? Not, two budgets, the IBA and food studio.
We will start with the IBA budget and try to run through this fairly quickly. This budget is a lot simpler than the budget from the airport because this is the budget we started off the year with, so there's no combining of budgets or anything like that, so this is a lot easier to look at. Starting with the incomes, the budget was $335. We ended up at $319. That's primarily due to the fact that we didn't start commercial service at the airport this year. If we had gotten to the point in FY15 of starting commercial service, then the revenues from the rent at the terminal building would have gone up exponentially, and that would have created additional revenues for us under the Silver Comet agreement that we have, the lease agreement that we have. So you see the Paulding Jet Center lease was actually up, Silver Comet down, so we were about, I guess about $15,000 off the mark there on our revenues, which equates to about 5%. So that's the reason for those being lower than what we had projected for FY15. Going down to the expenses, again, I'm not going to run through each one of these line items. You'll have this to take with you, so if there's any questions that come up, call me, email me, or if you want to wait until next month's meeting to ask questions, you can, but certainly at any point in time you can call me or email me. Some items were over a little bit. For example, dues and subscriptions were over a bit. Other items were significantly under. The only thing that I want to call your specific attention to, well, I guess there's two things I want to call your specific attention to. One are the professional fees, and again, I want to give kudos to our legal counsel. As you can see, we had budgeted $58,000 on legal fees. For FY15, we came in at about $39,000, so we're significantly under on legal fees. Tom, I think, does a lot of work in his sleep so that he doesn't have to charge us for it, so that's a good thing. Second thing I wanted to bring to your attention under here is staff services. The staff services included two things. It included my pay. It also included budget for a part-time person. We did discuss last year at budget time potentially bringing in a part-time person. And just to, I guess, hopefully help with the recall on the conversation, that really had to do with the issues with Junie staying with the county and us bringing in a new person. I felt like at the time, if we had to bring a new person in, that we were probably going to have to bring 1.5 or 2 people in to take over for the work because such a large amount of work between the Airport Authority and the Industrial Building Authority and the film studio. However, I now need to give kudos to Yolanda because she has done such a fabulous job in this role, stepped in and took over everything that Junie was doing, and it's been almost seamless. So she's done such a fantastic job that we didn't have to hire that other person. So you'll see that we had budgeted $77,000 and we're only at $48,000, so there's a significant savings there because we did not go out and hire someone else to work with the IBA. Yolanda's been able to handle that workload, so she deserves some thank yous there for that. Going on down the budget, we're under a good bit on lawn care and landscaping. Again, that number is going to continue to click up as we do more landscaping contracts at the Dallas Industrial Park, at the Paulding Commerce Park, and the new hangar will require landscape maintenance as well. So we're going to continue to see that number go up, and in the FY16 budget, it probably will be at that $22,000 level, and maybe even a little higher than that in the FY16 budget when we review that next month. That's about it. If you flip over to page 2, you'll see that our budgeted expenditures were $341,000. We came in at $274,000, so we came in way under budget. So where our revenues were about 5% under budget, our expenditures were about 20% under budget. So we came in pretty well this year. Now, the upside of that is we did well in managing our budget. The downside of that is, honestly, we didn't have a ton of economic development activity in FY15. So, we didn't put any new facilities in the Dallas Industrial Park. We didn't put any new facilities in the Paulding Commerce Park. So, while I'm happy that we're saving money and we're under budget, I'd certainly like to see more activity in those parks. And as we see more activity in those parks, then of course development costs will go up, and we'll spend money there as we need to get new facilities into those parks. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to address them this time.
Like just on the utilities, it's a big difference in budget, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I probably should have touched on that. Ultimately, what happened with the utilities is when we changed over, and this has to do with the airport authority. When we changed over from airport department to airport authority, all of the utilities for the airport came over from the county to the airport and the IBA. So some of the facilities at the airport, the utilities went to the IBA, for example, the terminal building, and the new hangar also generated some utility bills this year as well. So we probably should have done a better job of projecting what the hangar would generate as far as utilities are concerned. But we really didn't have an idea in June, July of last year what the changeover with the airport authority would do as far as generating additional utilities for the IBA. We also had the sewer plant, or the sewer lift station that came online in the Dallas Industrial Park, so we had a full year of utilities on the sewer lift station as well. So that's something that we've got to spend a whole lot more time looking at going into the 2016 budget to make sure we do a better job of budgeting those utilities.
It's in the lift station. What was the final outcome of that issue?
What was the question?
What was the final outcome of the pump issue in the Dallas Industrial Park? It has still not been completely resolved. We have had 2 different groups look at it, and we have 2 different proposals on how to fix it. And we're now working with the city of Dallas to try to determine which one of those potential fixes we're going to go with. It is an issue with vibration in the pump, and both groups that have looked at it have given 2 different opinions as to why there's vibration in the pump. One requires us taking out the pipes, the suction pipes inside the well and redoing those, and the other requires a different approach. So we've got to decide, along with our engineer and the city of Dallas, which approach is the best approach to take, and go ahead and do that. But it's something that having to depend on other folks quite a bit with their expertise, because my expertise on sewer pumps is pretty limited to knowing what a sewer pump looks like, quite honestly.
Any other questions on that? Popular Oil Station, Industrial Building Department? If not, we'll look at that for the film studio.
Atlanta Film Studio budget is pretty straightforward. Again, not going to spend a ton of time going line by line. I just want to really hit the high points here. Revenues, not quite where we had hoped that they would be. We did really well from July through March. Unfortunately, when Fakeoff pulled out at the end of March, 1st of April, we had April, May, and June where the facility sat empty. So we had 3 months out of the year that sat empty, and they were right at the end of the fiscal year. So up until that point, up until March, we were actually ahead of schedule on revenues, and those 3 months without any activity in the studio kind of sort of shot us down a bit on our revenue numbers. So we were projected at $500,000. We ended the year, this says 319, that number's not 100% accurate, and the reason it's not 100% accurate is because we had some fees that were still outstanding to fake off that we just received the checks last week, so those aren't included in this 319 number. So I think, and I'm working off the top of my head, so I may be off a little bit on these numbers, but it should be about $10,000 to $12,000 that'll be added to this 319 because that was revenue that was generated by fake offs. It was generated during FY19 or FY15. So that number is going to go to about 330. So it'll be up a little bit higher than what it's showing there. Still, it's off from what we had projected, and certainly not exactly where we want to be in terms of revenues from the film studio. Taking a look at expenses, and I'm just going to drop the bottom line here on expenses. The projected were 279, the total was 306. So we were over a bit on expenses. When you're under on revenues and over on expenses, that's really not where you want to be. Fortunately, we did cover our expenses. Our revenues did cover our expenses. But that means that they're not covering the bond payments. So they're covering expenses, but they're not covering the bonds. So the bond payments having to come out of pocket, which is something that we need to cover in the future moving forward. So, as I said, activity at the studio has picked up. We are overcoming this issue of competing with the warehouses, which is good. That means more people are coming to look at us, and fewer people are going to look at warehouses. Activity at the other studios in Metro Atlanta is very high. Pinewood is pretty much booked. Screen Gems is pretty much booked. That is pushing more and more and more traffic our way. So as we get more folks coming through the studio, we expect the bookings to continue to increase as well. Met with Andy Turner on, yesterday afternoon on Tuesday, and he had folks, of course, as I said, Rooms to Go was there and they're shooting, but we also had folks touring yesterday, and we're up to probably 2 to 3 tours a week. So where we were doing 2 to 3 tours a month, this time last year, we're doing 2 to 3 tours a week now. So the activity is just through the roof. So
keep his dad in mind. Mr. Curtis Turner, Reverend Turner, just had very serious, more than a 15-hour surgery, removing a hernia that had encapsulated a good portion of all his organs. He made it through that. He'll have a good day and a bad day, but I know Andy's heart and mind is down in Emory with his dad and continues to run back up here and do his job. So I think the good thing with Andy is we got a whole host of folks that work with Andy, so it's not just him being on presence there. But if you would keep Curtis Turner in your prayers. And there was some expense when we transitioned, by the way, from Jeremy to Jimmy to Andy. We had some expense with that, so that's part of the reason that the expenses were higher than what we projected for 2015. If there's any questions, yes, ma'am.
Under the expenses, under payroll expenses, those benefit plan contributions, that was for Jimmy, the $9,000.
That's correct. The payroll expenses that of $9,600 for the benefits plan and the $4,300 on payroll, those are both Jimmy.
Right. So
those
next
are
year,
gone now.
they're gone.
That's correct.
Okay.
And what we've done is we've just converted to a month-to-month contract.
Right.
So that way, if the performance is not where it needs to be, we can make a change instantly. Whereas our previous contract that we have with Jimmy was a 3-year contract, I believe. So we were locked in for a period of 3 years. And I'm not suggesting that Jimmy didn't do a good job. I think Jimmy did do a good job. But being locked into that 3-year contract with paying all those benefits and expenses was not where we wanted to be. So we moved away from that and moved to a month-to-month contract, which is the same thing that we have with Nick now at Rotown. So we're on month-to-month with everybody. So if we get a purchaser for the facility, we can exit those contracts immediately. Any other questions on the budget?
Okay, at 5,000, next I have the approval of the ACCG permanent insurance renewal.
This is the exact same thing that we talked about in the airport authority meeting. Boyd, of course, is not here, but he did offer his services to take a look at this. The renewal amount for FY16 is $25,733. So again, as was mentioned earlier, I don't think the price is at issue. I think we get a very, very good price for what we're having to cover from ACCG and IRMA. It's just a matter of we need to take another look at the policy to make sure that we do have all the adequate coverages that we need. Of course, this covers all of the facilities that we have, so it covers the film studio, it covers the industrial parks, it covers the other properties that we have off of 278, off of the Parkway, it covers the hangar. So that is a big package. There's a lot of stuff that's covered in that insurance policy.
Any questions on this? Okay, I guess we'll need a motion in the same manner as the last, that subject to board's comment, motion to approve.
I'll make that motion with Mayor Austin.
Motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, do we need an executive session today for personnel, real estate, and litigation?
I make a motion.
I'll take a motion for,
Make a motion to go into executive session for personnel and litigation.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Say aye. Say aye. David? Aye.
Report that no action was taken in the executive session. Anything else on the agenda today?
I make a motion that you enter back in.
Second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, nothing else on the menu? Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn. So moved by Carolyn. Second by Matt. All in favor, say aye.
This is my first one.